Sprint velocity. Sprint velocity is the measure of the average amount of work that the Scrum team can complete during a sprint. Here is an example of calculating the sprint velocity. In this example, there are 8 user stories in the product backlog. Each user story has an estimated number of points as a measure of required effort to complete as shown in the diagram. Let's say during the sprint planning, the development team picks up the user story 1 through user story 5 as the sprint backlog. Estimate of those 5 user stories is 20 points. At the end of the sprint, the development team could only complete 3 user stories. User story 1, 2, and 3. Then that becomes the product increment as soon as the product owner accepts those. The total estimation of those user stories is 16 points. So the actual velocity of the team for that particular sprint is 16 points. Now to calculate the velocity, we would need to take the average of the actual velocity for at least 3 consecutive sprints. So if the actual velocity of 3 consecutive sprints are 16, 20, and 24 points, then the velocity of the team becomes 20 points, which is the average of the actual velocity of the 3 consecutive sprints. This is how the sprint velocity is calculated for a Scrum team. Initially on sprint 1, the team wouldn't know their velocity. But as soon as the velocity is known, then it can be used during the sprint planning to understand how much work can be completed in the next sprint. And accordingly, the sprint backlog items will be selected based on the estimation.